Hey, welcome into another edition of Feldco Football Recap Live with the great Olin Kreutz, the great Tom Waddle. I'm little old David Kaplan. Bears fall 21-16 to a team they absolutely should have beaten in the Indianapolis Colts. Olin, I'll start with you this week. They had a lot of mistakes. Caleb threw for 363 yards. There was some good. There was some really bad, poor timeout called. What was your number one takeaway of a 21-16 loss and a lost Sunday in Indy?
It was a game that was almost hard to watch because it was played at a level that it wasn't a very high-level football game between the two quarterbacks, right? And Richardson, it was almost a comedy to errors when he was throwing the interceptions or missing receivers. I mean, I found myself laughing on the couch, right? The Colts, now they have a big problem, right? Like that is, man. I mean, if you would take a quarterback out of that game, I mean, one good thing for the Bears fans, you'd take Caleb Williams. Like what I watched, the mistakes he made and the way they played, and like you said, Cap, very beatable team. And I guess you come away thinking, we talked about on this podcast, you don't expect a rookie quarterback to play at a super high level right now. You come away a little more disappointed, I think, in the head coach and like not going for two and not being ready for that. I also think that kicking Santos early was a mistake, right? Like he can't reach. You have to know the distance he can reach from. So it just kind of, for me, it started from there. Waldron scares me a little bit, but I've said that on this show before. Just kind of waiting to see because, like you guys know, I have a strong belief that there are less elite play callers than are elite quarterbacks, and just kind of waiting for this process to work its way through, Tom, and see if he can put these guys in position to make plays.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. I was very disappointed because I thought this was a beatable team. And I agree with Olin. Everyone always talks about how this defense is going to keep them in every game, and they do. I thought they were good. I didn't think it was their best effort. They got hit with some big plays and got gashed in the running game a little bit. I'd be more willing to tell you that Anthony Richardson kept them in the game as much as their defense did. I have to say, though, the thing that left me most disturbed or most unhappy was, they went to Indy to face a defensive front that was giving up 237 yards per game on the ground, and they were without their best player. Buckner wasn't even there. And at the end of the day, they ran it 28 times for 63 yards. And I don't know, and Olin is much better equipped to answer this question than I am or to comment on it. I don't know what their identity is running the football. I don't think they're ever going to be a ground and pound team, but you are going to have to run it at some times. I mean, I do believe in the concept that you throw to score, you run at times to win. I think that that's a cliche, but I think that there is some truth to it. So not being able to establish your running game to take some pressure off of your quarterback, who turned it over 3 times. The 2 interceptions were bad. He did make progress. I think some of the passing yards are inflated by a Hail Mary and stuff, but I saw some growth from him for sure. I saw a head coach, as Olin was saying, burn a timeout because they didn't know whether or not to go for a 2-point conversion. I saw them jump off sides on a 4th and 2 on a punt. And then I saw an offensive coordinator that really didn't look like he had a plan for 4th and, 1st, 2nd, 3rd, and 4th and goals. So you put it all together, guys. It wasn't just an L for me. I didn't see any progress on the offensive side of the ball, or not enough progress on the offensive side of the ball. And that's what left me most concerned, Cap.
I said to Olin the other day, so my son, I have a special needs son, and he turns to me as they're driving, and he says, Dad, we have to go for 2 here. There's under 10 minutes left. And I'm like,
Brett knows football, Cap. Brett knows.
Yes, he does.
And I said, 100%, Brett, but I'm sure the coaches know that. And then they show the sideline. I see one coach with 1 finger up. And then I see Eberflus look at him with 2 fingers up. Give me a timeout. I'm like, how can we be this incompetent?
Coach Flus needs your boy up there in the booth. You got to put him up there in the booth for him, man. And talk about. He's just it was a crazy game to watch. Just Tom talked about where they're going to run the ball. I went back and watched the all 22. I mean, Gus Bradley gave them some really good looks to run the ball up the middle, and Tevin and Coleman Shelton, they couldn't get movement on a nose guard that they should displace. They should displace that nose guard, get him out of that hole. And even though Roshan had some good runs, there's a few times in there where, they're stuck like in a, just in it should be a 5-6 yard gain. It's a 1 or 2 yard gain, right? We always say on the offensive line, guys, if we can get 2 double teams, we can get good yards. And Gus Bradley was giving them looks with DeForest Buckner out. He was playing his zone defense, and they were running what they call a dual play, where it's a gap play, and you get 2 double teams on the 2 inside guys. And Darnell Wright and Pryor were getting movement, but Coleman, Shelton, and Kevin Jenkins were not moving that guy out of there.
I said something to me and Tommy today. Tommy and I were talking about it. You sent us that film we just played, but you said to Tommy and to me, unless this center is going to get his hands inside, he's going to be getting bull rush. Can you explain that for everybody?
Yeah, it's pretty simple. If you're a smaller guy, like you'll see these big guys, they'll like up and under guys, right? Or they'll wrap around their shoulder pads. They can engulf guys. But if you watch Coleman Shelton's right hand right here, he ends up on the outside of the shoulder pad. Yep. Well, he's going backwards, right? Like if you're a smaller center, which as you guys know I am, and so is my son. I teach him your hands better be inside. You better win with your punch every time. And that pocket is collapsing there on Caleb. Your hands got to be inside. That's why you do all that bench pressing and all that tricep work. And you got to press the guy back and sit your hips back. And you got to go back towards the quarterback as slow as you can, because in football at offensive line, you have no choice. You can't avoid the guy. You can't use leverage to get him out of the way because you end up in the quarterback's lap. At some point, you got to take that guy head on. But your hands, if you keep catching guys, and you'll watch this center, he does struggle with that. You'll keep catching guys, you're going to have a problem all year.
I think, guys, at this particular time, and it's only week 4, I think the best sign of a good coaching staff is the ability to make adjustments. And you may have come in with a plan, but as they say, everyone thinks they have a plan until they get punched in the face, right? And then you have to adjust. At this time, I don't know. I'm not smart enough to know. I'm not good enough at what's going on at the line of scrimmage. I don't know who they want to be or what they want to be running the football, but they need, in my humble opinion, I think they need to scale back some stuff. They need to simplify some things and decide what works best for them so that they can get some success and some movement in the running game, which ultimately then will take pressure off of your quarterback. But at this point, just to throw it against the wall and hope that it works is crazy. And I said this to Cap as well, Olin. I know they spent a lot of money on DeAndre Swift, and I know they spent a lot of money on Gerald Everett, but in 3 weeks, Gerald Everett's got 3 catches for no yards, and DeAndre Swift's got 114 total yards. You're not getting your return on your investment. I don't know what they're trying to do at the line of scrimmage, but they better come up with some sort of a adjustment and scale it back just to survive.
So I talked to Mercedes Lewis and DJ Moore, and I did a show together. I talked to those 2 guys, and I brought up the name DeAndre Swift. DJ Moore, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is basically what he said. He's like, look, that's the best back we have, and he could be Christian McCaffrey-like if we use him properly. He loves him. He said, I'm telling you, that guy can get the job done. We just have to, he believes, got to get Kari Blasted game back in there. And he said, we got to go double tight ends, and we got to run the ball down people's throats, and then you're going to be able to see what he does.
I agree with that. But, Olin, you tell me, do you think he's got as much wiggle and elusiveness watching him on film that maybe Khalil Herbert has, or that Roschon Johnson? Look, I'm not trying to, talk him down. I'm just telling you, when you watch
what you see, right?
Yeah.
Right, what you see. It's an interesting comment, and players are always going to have their teammates back. And we talked about Blasting game on this show, I think, and we said, well, who is their backup fullback in Coach Morgan's run game? And I saw they use Everett, but they went to Cole Kmet a couple of times. Cole Kmet motion in the backfield, and they ran that toss they like to run with Cole Kmet. He actually made a nice block. So I think if I watch the film, Cole Kmet is my fullback right now when I look at that film, if I have to run, if I don't have Blasting game again. As far as the running back goes, Roschon Johnson's had the most success as I watch it. I wonder sometimes why a running back's not playing, right? Is it special teams? Is it the pass blocking problems? I don't know why you wouldn't give Roschon the ball downhill. Christian McCaffrey, that's fine to throw that name out, but then you're going to have to borrow Kyle Shanahan, Trent Williams, George Kittle, the fullback down there, Deebo Samuel, Ayuk. You're going to have to use all those guys. And then the holes open up for Swift, right? So Christian McCaffrey is running the ball behind the best left tackle in the NFL. Where would you rank George Kittle? I don't know. Someone better cover him. If Deebo Samuel's on the other side, look, the Bears, like that's what I'm talking about when they lost Keenan Allen. They lost a little bit. Like whenever you lose a weapon, and I'll tell you guys through this, whenever you lose a weapon, you lose a little bit of your run game because that's one less guy who has to watch the pass. That's one less guy they have to double team, right? So the box is a little more crowded than the Chicago Bears offensive line is used to or that Shane Waldron thought it would be. And as Tom pointed out, you better adjust. I don't know what the adjustment's going to be. Double tight end, run the ball, but then you lose your guys on the field. But if you can make them go man, we see what DJ Moore does on our side, and here comes a Dunze a little bit. So Swift, like Tom's saying, hasn't really impressed me much. Looks more like a scat back when he runs the ball to me, but we shall see.
My question to you both is I also watched the All-22, and it's 4th and inside of a yard at the 5-yard line. They bring in Roschon Johnson, slam it in there, bam, first down, Chicago Bears at the Colts 4. Immediately, he comes out of the game. We go Wildcat, Khalil Herbert. We run Khalil Herbert again. On 3rd down, they ask 5'8" DeAndre Carter to block Tyquan Lewis, 6'4", 267. And I mean, I ran it back 100,000 times. I'm like, what are we doing here?
You only had to watch it once.
He takes DeAndre Carter and he drives him right back into Khalil Herbert to knock him down. And then we run the speed option, drive over. What are we doing?
Yeah, see, as an offensive coordinator, you're almost betting that they're going to match your personnel, is what you're hoping. When you leave 3 wide receivers on the field that close to the goal line, you're hoping Gus Bradley stays in nickel, what they call nickel, right? Well, he put 5 D linemen on the field. So usually DeAndre Carter would be keeping whoever's guarding him, who would be the nickel back, out. So you lose that bet, right? You got out-coached there. The Chicago Bears did. And I think Eberflus talked about that on the podium, that we have to have a better plan there, like you're saying. But, I'm sure Waldron would say, Cap, I studied years of film. The guy never went to goal line versus nickel personnel, right? So they made a bet. They lost. But the problem is they lost 5 plays in a row. That was the problem, right? We never got in the end zone. And the option was just not there. And you're running with a guy who doesn't want to run option, right? Caleb, I think he pressed it to the guard. Anyway, no one in the town wants to blame Caleb for anything, but he's got to press that option a little more. They didn't get the look they wanted there, but it's like you're saying, there's so many plays to get in the end zone. There was a lot of failure. When you see something like that, I've been a part of getting stuffed. I remember we were in Atlanta one year. I tell the story, and we had a bad offensive line, and I come to the sideline, and Lovey says to me, "This is who we are. We're going for it on 4th down. We're on the 1 yard." And I said, Lovey, kick the field goal. We can't block him. And he was so mad at me. He was like, you get out there. We're going to run this up. We got stuffed, man. I mean, I think Greg Olsen missed a linebacker or something. Something happened on the play. And, man, we got stuff. But anyway, but I failed too. I mean, the whole offense failed. But Shane Waldron definitely stops at his doorstep. He's got to do a better job.
Yeah,
I remember you telling that story to us over at NBC Sports Chicago. And then Wannstedt said he was going to go for it. And Steve Kaiser, Tony Wise.
No, Tony Wise, yeah.
Said, Coach, punt the football. He's like, are you telling me we can't get that much? That's exactly what I'm telling you.
Sometimes you're in games and you're overmatched, man. But to Tom's point earlier, the D-line, I mean, I don't know. Without DeForest Buckner, these guys, the Bears O-line should have been able to move them out of there. They got to take a good look at the way they're attacking guys and getting guys off the ball, because right now, we went after DeAndre Swift, but there's not a ton of room there for running backs to run through.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think at this point it'd be hard for anybody to make hay, so to speak. I would be interested to ask you, Cap, talking to DJ. DJ's been my favorite player on this team for the last couple of years because I think he's ultra talented and I think he's a hard worker. And Olin, you notice guys that show up and they're every OTA, they're there, despite the fact that they're accomplished veterans. He's a leader with how he plays. He's a leader with how he carries himself. I'm getting the sense right now, Cap, he's frustrated because he's played in environments, whether it was at Carolina or here with Justin, where he was the first option, the second option, the third option, the only option. And the ball came his way and he delivered because he's a great player. Here, if you watch the tape, the tendency, and maybe it's because they're both rookies or that they've worked a lot together, the tendency is that the quarterback looks to roam quite a bit, even when plays are breaking down, even when DJ maybe. And I just get the sense, and I'm not looking to be overly critical, that he's getting very frustrated because he's in a different environment than he's used to.
So in talking with him, and by the way, that interview, the Big Dog Show with Mercedes Lewis and DJ Moore, drops tomorrow morning on the channel. He said he's not frustrated with his role. He's not frustrated with Caleb. He thinks Caleb's going to be a special player in the league. He said, I've been in this league 7 years. I've not played in one playoff game. And he said, I'm not going to be like that dude. I'm not playing 19 years in the NFL. I'm not going to be around here. I want to get to the playoffs, and I want to get to the playoffs now because we have enough talent to do that. So I think that was more his source of frustration.
I will say this as well. I think you got to get him more involved the same way I would try to see if you could adjust your running game. I think you need to get him more involved than just bubble screens and, just like flat routes. DJ's a fantastic downfield receiver. And at this particular time, the only way they're really getting him the ball is in the short game and getting in his hands and letting him go. I need to see them throw some bang eights with him, skinny posts. I need to see some dig routes. I need to see them do a lot of that stuff. From my halfway intelligence, perspective on what's going on there, it feels like they've put Rome in the spot that does all that stuff instead of DJ. And I would just hope that it would mirror when you go side to side, that you're not just finding DJ running clearing nines, that you're going to find him do some of that stuff, deep crossers and things. He's just too damn talented to only be throwing bubble screens to him.
All right, our special teams play of the week brought to you by Special Olympics Illinois, and voices tell us you can't or you won't. We simply say, I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. It's the missed field goal that Olin referenced to us earlier. 56 yards from Cairo Santos, and he came up about that far short. He did make a 54-yarder later that looked like it would have been good from 56. But, OG, you would not have attempted that kick, correct?
Well, he was short, so maybe maybe he made one from that distance at pregame, and if he did, then it's not a bad decision. But it just seemed like, the one you're talking about, Cap. I'm glad you think it had 3 more yards on it because I didn't when I watched it. But I would have to rewatch it. But he was short on that 56, and I just think that is they go out at pregame obviously, and they thought that the head special teams coach. And Coach Eberflus thought he could make it from there. When he came up short, I was thinking, man, why do you go for it there? Why take a punter in the 4th round if you're going to kick those deep ones, right? Down them inside the 1, right? Down them inside the 1. I'd use another O-lineman in the 4th round. I could use another one, just in case everybody's wondering. Could use one in the 1st round. I could use those in the 4th round, in case anybody wants anything. But everybody wants to scream like Cap. They want to do sweaters, right, this late in the year. But who is the guy yelling for Roma Dunze and a punter? The guy wearing the sweater. You know what I mean?
I said address your O-line.
Just take the L, Cap. Take the L. Just take the L. Just take the L.
Cap, did you say address or were you happy for the punter?
I liked the punter. I did.
I thought the punter
was a good player, man.
When I saw that pick, I said that's an arrogant pick. And I didn't say it because I think Ryan Poles carries himself in an arrogant way. I said it in the context of that's a general manager who thinks his team is so complete that he can use a 4th round pick on a punter. And
thinks he doesn't need an O-lineman. Thinks he doesn't need an O-lineman at that spot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Olin and I had this debate on the phone. Usually, more often than not, he's right. But we had this debate. It wasn't an argument. It was a debate. And I said, I don't think you're re-signing Keenan Allen. He probably plays 13 games at max. You're not going to re-sign him at the number he wants. You'll have DJ. So you got to go get a number one receiver if Rome Odunze or Malik Neighbors are on the board. Olin's point was, you can find me a receiver later. You need to build your offensive line. 7 offensive linemen went after they took Rome Odunze.
Well, and not just that. Look, I mean, I understood my whole perspective with regard to taking Rome is you still had assets. You had cap space and you had draft currency, and you had full draft currency in 2025. So if you wanted to move back in for a center or an offensive lineman, you were carrying the Carolina Panthers second-round pick. You had all of your picks for 2025. You could have, spent money. You could have done something to address the offensive line, even if, in fact, you were going with Rome Odunze. Look, you spent money on Gerald Everett. You spent money on DeAndre Swift. You spent money in a lot of spots. You didn't spend a lot of money on the offensive line, and you had it. So, I mean, you could have approached it in that fashion. So, I think you could have done both. If in fact you chose to go the route they did, I still think that you could have upgraded the O-line.
Mm-hmm. For sure. It's just, we've been saying this for a while now, and watching the team so far, it just emphasizes the point, right? Like the more, when we talked about, I remember everyone's reaction when I said they should draft Olu Fashanu from Penn State, who's starting for the Jets right now. So, and everyone said, well, didn't you once work with Braxton Jones? The answer is yes, but you get as much guys in that room as you can, man. Yeah. You just do. You get as much competition as you can in that room. Look, I mean, when they signed, like Cap said, when they signed Keenan Allen, that's fine, but was there not an offensive lineman to trade for, right? Was there not an older guy out there who you could insert on your offensive line who could play? I think the guy Cap wanted, who hurt his knee, Connor Williams, is that his name? The center? I think he's playing for Seattle right now, playing at a pretty high level. Yeah. So it's just, I don't know if they exhausted all their options. They went the route, like I keep talking about. Everyone keeps asking what the O-line is going to do, and I keep asking what the multipliers are going to do for the O-line. Right? What are the guys you signed and gave all the money to? What are they going to do? Right? When are they going to make a play to give you an extra first down, connect on a pass? I mean, you don't sign all those guys and then scream about blocking blitzes. Yeah. You sign those guys and you beat blitzes. Right? DeAndre Swift's got to make the safety and the cornerback miss and go to the house. If we get you to the safety and I gave you the money, you got to go. Yeah. Right? That's just the NFL. When we would slide, and they made me the highest paid center in the league. When we would slide left, I had the single block. So the way it went. I was the guy. So I gave help to the tackle. Tackle got their guard. I got to block this guy by myself. That's just the way it goes.
Bear Down from H-Town asks you two guys, both Lucas Patrick and Cody Whitehair went to different teams and are looking pretty solid. So his question is it the players or coaching, more specifically, O-line coach Chris Morgan?
But again, you can go through the years, right? You can go through the years. I remember telling Harry Heastan one time, they're trying to get you fired with the guys they gave you. Like they're trying to get you fired in this building. They're trying to get you the hell out of the league. Look, Andrew Brandt, I think he did the contracts up in Green Bay. Yeah. He put something on Twitter the other day, a great comment. He put Malik Willis's numbers for the Packers and for the Titans, and he said organizations matter. That's all he tweeted. Organizations matter, and they do.
Yeah, I would say as well, Cap, like, look, with no disrespect meant to Lucas Patrick, I think everyone saw his Pro Football Focus grade from week 2, and it was like a 97, and thought all of a sudden that Lucas became an all-pro. Lucas's grade this week was below 60. So, like, you just can't ride that roller coaster and make definitive decisions based on a week-to-week situation. So
I'm just your humble narrator. I just read the question.
I know.
I would say you're the narrator. I would take the humble part out.
Maybe. Hey, here's Caleb Williams numbers. We call it Caleb Williams winging it. Brought to you by our friends at Hooters, where originality isn't just one thing, it's everything. World famous wings and more served up by the iconic Hooters girl. Hooters, always original. Caleb, 33 of 52, 363. 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, sacked 4 times. So they dropped him back 56 times, T. Waddle. 56 times. In the post game, when they asked him, 52 passes, Caleb, he's like, I did. I threw 52 passes. He couldn't believe it.
I have two thoughts. The first thought is that I thought the balance in the first half was better than that. I think I sent you that text.
Yep.
They tried to run the ball. When they got the ball back with 51 seconds at the end of the first half in a 2-minute situation. And at that point, they had 15 runs and 21 passes. Now, that's about as balanced as you're going to get from Shane Waldron. If you look at his his resume, he's a throw first guy. He's a runs, maybe if you feel like it type of guy. 15 runs, 21 passes, and then you went on to throw it 7 straight times because you were in 2 minutes. So I think the run pass ratio got out of whack a little bit because of that situation. I think Olin referenced this, and then in the second half you got into a kind of a trail position as well. So your throwing numbers escalated. At the end of the day, they ran it 28 times. I think they tried to run it, despite the fact that I don't think that's what they are and what their identity is, for good or for bad. And they only ran it for 63 yards. At some point, you start saying to yourself, if you're them and you're prone to throwing it, why am I running it? I got a better chance to actually throw it. But to Olin's point earlier, I really like this quarterback. I think he's ultra talented. But we have to be honest here. Those 2 interceptions can't happen. They're rookie mistakes. I get it. He'll grow from them. But I'm not going to, there are a lot of people trying to explain them away or make excuses for them. The first interception, you watch it. I sent you the tape, I think, Cap. There's 3 guys open. There's 3 guys open. The guy in the flat's open. Throw it. If you're going to look
DeAndre Swift, wide open.
Throw it. Throw it and let him get the first down on the run. If you're not going to throw it to him, look to the other side where you had DJ Moore open on a 12-yard in. You had a back leaking out from the other side and he decided that he was going to hold, and then he walked into the interception. So, look, does it mean that I'm down on Caleb? No, but I'm not going to ignore the mistakes that a young quarterback makes. And then the second interception, people are trying to explain it away because, well, he threw it in the body of Rome. He threw it in between 2 defenders when the flat route's open. Just take the layup. Let's not jump to conclusions that the kid is ruined. Let's not jump to conclusion. But let's also be willing to point out that he's making some rookie mistakes. Thought he was much better in the second half, but in the first half, those 2 interceptions are rookie mistakes. And at the end of the day, when we get to the second half of the season, they can't happen.
He does a lot of work at the line of scrimmage. Yes. He really does. I'm impressed by some of his checks. He points out the mic. He gets guys moving in the right direction. He makes rookie mistakes. He forces balls to Rome Odunze, like Tom mentioned most times. He still makes throws. He converts some third downs with some throws that I have not seen around here in a long time. Yes. He fits in his spots. He's on time. He sits in the pocket a little too long right now, but I think that'll speed up for him. As far as the run game goes, I think he's checking the passes too. So I wonder how many runs were actually called, and he would check to that quick out on the sideline when they were backed off, when the receiver was backed off. I mean, the cornerback was backed off one of the receivers, and a lot of those are RPOs. You're talk about the 4th and 1 to DJ Moore. He flipped it out. That's a run call, right? But if Jalen Jones is going to give him DJ Moore 15 yards, I'm going to flip it out there. So, you take 10 to 12 of those, knock those off. And like Tom said, in the first half, they're probably 50-50, right? And then it gets skewed again at the end when you're trying to tie the game up. But he is, when you watch him, I keep saying this, you see why he went number 1 in the draft. Yeah. You see it, right? It's like you can see his arm talent. You can see him throw the ball. And then when you watch him, you say to yourself, gosh, that's his third start. That is a rookie mistake. That is a bad, the interceptions and, just throwing it out to the sideline and the guy jumps it. I mean, it's just you can't make those plays after a beautiful throw to Rome Odunze. So we're watching a rookie quarterback. Obviously, you see the guy, what he does in Washington, and people want more. They want more. But right now, and the Rams are the worst defense in the league. So who knows? This may be the week.
All right, we got to take a quick timeout. We'll come back. More to do on Feldco Football Recap Live with Olin Kreutz and Tom Waddle. We'll be right back.
Hey, Dad, we're running low.
We'll be all right.
What is going on here?
Insulation? I'm chilly.
I can't help you with a decoration, but I can help you replace these windows fast.
Right now, buy one window and you'll get one free. Plus, no interest until 2025. And we'll get it done Feldco fast.
Buy one window, get one free, and soon. Hurry. Call now.
Call 866 for Feldco.
Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. Four Seasons, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, Four Seasons. All right, time for our Apt player of the game. We're going to give it to Rome Odunze. He is our player of the game. He had his first career touchdown. He had over 100 yards in receptions, and he is our Apt player of the game. Use the code Kaplan25. Get $25 off any purchase, $150 or more at apt.com. And our Dr. Pepper play of the game is that touchdown pass. Caleb Williams to Rome Odunze. And Caleb's letting Rome keep the football because Rome said, you're going to have a lot more of these than I'm going to. So guess what? I'm keeping this ball. So that is our Dr. Pepper play of the game. All right, let's welcome back our guys, Tom Waddle and Olin Kreutz. In terms of the defense, that the way they've been playing, I think it was Tommy, maybe it was Olin, but I think it was Tommy who said they were good, but they weren't as good as they had been. What did you guys think of the entire defense's body of work Sunday against the Colts?
Look, I think they play well enough to keep you in that game for sure, but I made the comment as well. I think Anthony Richardson kept them in the game with his play also. I can't be overly critical, but there were some I'll give you a couple of examples. 3rd and long. I love Jalen Johnson. I think he's a top 5 corner in the league. You can't let anyone get behind you on 3rd and long. That's just that's a cardinal sin. And
I'm sorry, but that interception Richardson threw, what was he doing?
In
the end zone, yes, after that long pass.
And he threw one that Byard could have picked off as well. The first drive of the game, he had Alex Pierce in a deep in route, on 10 yards behind the stick. It's wide ass open. He sailed it into the stands.
And he's a tough kid. You can tell. He likes contact, man. He's tough, but I don't know, man. At the first play of the game, I think they ran like a run pass option. He holds the ball so all the linemen are downfield. It's just details are just not there.
I will
say,
Tom. No, it's all good. I would just say, look, I've seen them play better, but now I'm splitting hairs because you hold the team to 21 points. You're giving your team a chance to win. I did think that there were moments where I thought, and Nolan, you again speak to this better than I watched the Colts offense and had offensive line envy is what I had because I saw them get their initial blocks, get to the second level, clear things. They're on the running play that Jonathan Taylor had. DeMarcus Walker is 11 yards down the field, still being pushed down the field. That offensive line can move some people. I just didn't think it was as dominant a defensive performance as we've seen in the past. But Jesus, these guys can't shut everyone out. So I thought it was good enough.
Yeah, I think the Colts are close to elite in the middle of their offensive line, right? And they're close to elite at running back. You're talking about, they kind of took over the game. They gave the Colts that chance where you're wondering if the Bears defense could just totally dominate. Well, when you have Quentin Nelson, Ryan Kelly, and Will Fries and Jonathan Taylor, they could change the game. And they were. They were moving guys off the ball. I talked a lot. I've been watching this Billings and Quentin Nelson matchup. It's been fun to watch, right? These two guys went at it. Go ahead, Cap.
Billings got screwed, Olin. That was an interception because if you go back, the whistle comes after the ball's out.
Yes. I couldn't believe they called that for I'm like, blow the whistle then, if you call it that way. But, the Jonathan Taylor run, Kyler Gordon's coming on a blitz off the slot. The Colts offensive line either sees it or they plan just to do that. And they call some people call it fuzz. It's a full zone, or some people call it Zorro. It just means everyone's just going to zone and take whoever's in their zone. And they do it, and they pick it up, and it's beautiful, man. That's the chorus line I think we were talking about the other day about how offensive lines are better together, and they're playing together. Brady Smith's a good player. They just do. They got a lot of assets in their offensive line. Like when Q came out, everybody argued, is a guard worth a top 10 pick? I think he's proven that a guard like him is worth a top 10 pick. So that's where the defense, like obviously everybody was shocked when Jalen got beat deep, right? We just don't see that much. And you're just like, oh man. I thought immediately I was like, come on, Tyreek, and it wasn't, right? Immediately you just don't see it a lot. So that can't happen. There was busting coverages here and there, but eventually their run game just kind of took over a little bit there and wore that interior defense out, which will happen because the offense doesn't stay on the field enough when you're facing a good offensive line, which you have to worry about in conference with the Lions.
Yeah. Who would you start, Tommy, on the offensive line? And then I want to hear Olin's thoughts. If you were putting the offensive line together, what would you do?
I'm throwing darts because I was a wide receiver, but I wouldn't go back to Nate Davis. I just wouldn't. There have been enough opportunities. There were some moments I saw with Matt Pryor where he was wandering around out there, but he's a big man. I'd give him a chance. I don't think you have a ton of options at this particular time, but for me, the Nate Davis experience would be over.
Olin?
It's hard because I know exactly what Tom's talking about, right? And I know like culture matters, right? Like what you're telling your players and guys playing at a certain level of intensity and guys showing up every day. That stuff really does matter. As crazy as cliche as it sounds, it really does matter in an NFL building, and it matters even more in an offensive line room. It really does. When the standard gets set and you leave it there, that's the standard that has to be matched. So I know what it means, just that the Bears don't – that's why we talk about putting assets in a room. It's just that Nate Davis really, when he is playing, is that much better than the other guys that they would put in for him. And their center is really struggling, right? So I don't know – I don't know what the line would look like. We talked about on this show, I think, they're on plan B already because I think Bates is supposed to be their starting center, right? And then I think he's on IR. So it's like, well, how much talent do you have left to pick and choose from? I would look at other people's practice squads, right, to see if there's starters out there who I can bring in and assign to my active roster and have compete for a job if it keeps going in this direction. But of course, as you guys know, I'd put Tevin by Darnell Wright, and then I don't know. I guess I don't have any other center but Shelton, so I'd leave him there for now. And then the left guard position would have to probably be Pryor or Murray. But I just don't know enough about these guys on film to know who I'd put in there.
I was just going to ask you, Olin,
would you build your own line?
If it was up to you, would you move Tevin back to right guard?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, I really would. I really think that was a mistake. And I've said it for years when they moved him in the first place. And if you're going to go to Pryor, why not move him?
Yeah.
Right. If you're going to go to Pryor, why not move him back to right guard and put Pryor at left guard next to Braxton Jones and see what that gives you there. See if you can get outside of your line. Like you talked about earlier, they don't have an identity. Yeah. You have an immediate identity now, right? You have an immediate identity. You have your two nastiest players on the offensive line playing next to each other.
I have a question for Olin as well, because we get this all the time on the radio. And I have a feeling as to how to answer the question, but you're more equipped to answer it. To people who say this was the second best rushing attack in the National Football League last year, and there are a lot of the similar pieces that are on that line now that were there. And I know that Justin added 15 yards per game on the ground with his running, but Khalil Herbert averaged 5 yards per carry, and Roschon averaged 4.5 yards per carry. To the people who ask, Olin, why are some of the same guys that are on this offensive line this year, why is the output less impressive this year than last year?
Yeah, it's a great question. And when you turn on the film, they're just not playing as well, right? And we talked about this in the offseason. They just assume that guys would come back their second year and be better football players. Like no one is ever the same ball player. And a lot of these guys are not playing at the same. I think Tevin, we saw him miss practice last week. I think that injury is bugging him. I think it's taking some of his strength away. Usually he's very aggressive. He's very violent through double teams. Darnell Wright is still playing decent football. He misses sometimes. People notice he puts his head down. They jump around him now a little bit. So that's on film, right? So it's just a Blossing game is out. Like you said, a lot of people have to play Justin Fields. But I think even last year when Bajan played, they still rushed for good yards.
Yeah.
So they were a good running team. Khalil Herbert is not the starting running back. I don't think Swift is pressing the hole as much as Herbert does. And when you're not the starting running back, you get out of a rhythm. So just all those things involved. That the offensive line is not playing at the same level. The center is struggling a little bit in there, getting pushed back on run plays, not getting movement, and getting pushed back on pass plays. So all that combined, you'll see a run game that's struggling to find identity, struggling to get going a little bit.
Tommy, why is DJ Moore being used in the fashion he is? We saw Kmet have 10 catches the other day. Rome had over 100 yards and a touchdown. But we don't see DJ at all used down the field. Why is that?
It's a great question, Cap. It's the reason I brought it up. And I think when they do get him the ball, you're getting flash screens and bubble screens and quick outs. And I think basically the offense is set up in a manner in which they're throwing it to Rome, where Rome is playing. DJ's basically playing the X receiver, which is on the line of scrimmage. Rome's playing the Z, which is just off the line of scrimmage. And this offense actually favors the Z more than the X as far as I'm concerned. I would work more at trying to get – I think they did a better job, especially in the second half, work in the middle of the field. I think it's something that you're really – I think offensive coordinators are apprehensive to allow a young quarterback to work the middle of the field because obviously it's more congested. But I think that this kid is smart enough and far enough along that you could trust him to work the middle of the field. And I think DJ's really good there. Like, I don't see enough deep crossers. They ran I thought two of their best pass plays in the first half, max protect. They were two-man routes. I think at one point, one of the backs leaked out, but they were both catches by Rome. Deep route down left sideline, beautiful throw, beautiful catch, deep crosser. Both of those plays were max protect. And they're both designed, from what I'm looking at, to go to Rome. So I just think for whatever reason, there's a concentration on the position that Rome's playing versus the position that DJ's playing. And I think that there's a rookie connection there that is leaving DJ out at times, but I would definitely get him more involved. I love him on slant routes. I love him on deep in routes. I love him on crossing routes. So funny too, like this offense, I don't know exactly what it is, but it is a variation of what the Rams run. Go back and look. When the Rams came back against the 49ers this weekend, Stafford is so damn good that I think that McVay trusts him to do stuff. There was just a clearing post that most quarterbacks in this league won't even look at because it's just we're trying to occupy the corner and we're trying to keep the safety. We're trying to keep the safety involved. And if for whatever reason the safety stays where he's at, we're going to throw. Nobody throws that post route. He threw it. It was a freaking beautiful throw. I want them to use DJ in that manner. At this point, I got to be honest with you, as their best receiver, he's running a lot of clearing routes and a lot of wide receiver screens, and I just wish they would get him more involved, especially in the middle of the field, Cap.
Hey, our Chevy drive of the game was 12 plays, 70 yards, took 321. Kmet touchdown, wide open from Caleb Williams, made it 21-16. Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers drive of the game. They are the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Olin, what was your take on Cole Kmet and how he played? I know he had 10 catches. I know he had a touchdown, but they asked him to do a lot in the blocking game. He was also the guy, along with Mercedes Lewis, victimized on the strip sack.
Yeah, I thought he played a good game. I thought he showed you that he's valuable. He's an asset. He can do a lot of things, man. I think he went and played fullback. They put him in the line of scrimmage to block. One thing about really watching this Bears run game, I always find it interesting when people build a skill team and then scream for a power running game. Like the power running game, man. Like you have to have when we were a power running team around here, which is most of the time, our tight ends, fullback, and wide receivers, they all blocked, and they were those kind of dudes, man. We had big bad tight ends. We had John Gilmore, we had Desmond Clark, we had Moose Muhammad. Moose Muhammad must have been an offensive lineman when he came here. He was just a big, strong man. They were all in. Right? We had fullbacks. Now they want to take this team and put Gerald Everett on, in a fullback position. I don't think he likes to do it, but one guy who is doing that is Cole Kmet. Cole Kmet does bat under this block. Now, he did miss his block on that play where they had the fumble that ended the game. He's got inside help from Mercedes Lewis. we call it a power step with your foot. It's like a 1-2. He took one too many, right? We always say on the offensive line, never get beat away from your help, ever. Get beat towards your help. He should, if he got beat on that play, he should have got beat inside. He didn't have to come that far inside. You guys saw Marcedes Lewis. He took his left shoulder and took it back, letting Cole know, I got this gap for you. Don't worry about it. Cole took 2 or 3 more steps inside, or 1 extra step inside and should have. And Latu showed you why he was drafted the first defensive player of the draft. He bent the corner and caused the fumble. So just like when you watch this Bears offense, we talk about them learning each other. Tom can talk about this too. The little details are missing. I know that sounds like a cliche, but they're just a little off in a lot of these areas where if they just would have done this, score, right? I see a lot of people saying, man, Darnell Wright whiffed on the goal line. Let me tell you something about that play. When you are playing offensive line, on the goal line, you are coming off the rock. And if that guy jumps around you, the running back needs to run through his ass for the touchdown. Yeah. Here's the deal. The guard and the center have a double team on the nose guard. They got to get him the hell out of there. So the Pryor and Shelton are stuck in the middle, and the linebacker's there too, and him and the guy who jumped around Darnell Wright made the play. Right? It's understanding actually what's going on in the field. It's understanding. Turn the film on. I'm telling Darnell Wright, his own line coach, you come off the ball like that again. If that guy jumps around you, we need to put that in the end zone. A jump around D tackle on the goal line, he got yelled at in meeting, guys. I promise you. His coach told him, your ass better not jump out of your gap and around people. You're not J.J. Watt, right? J.J. Watt can do it. That guy's not J.J. Watt.
They're, like to Olin's point, they're this close on a lot of shit.
They really are, man. Yeah. They can make big plays, Tom. It's there.
Yeah, man. I don't know if they'll ever, sand down
this year. Yeah.
Get there. But they're this close on a lot of plays. And the big mistakes that they're making are so correctable. I pointed out the first interception that Caleb throws. That should be a 3rd down conversion in the red zone. But he just those are correctable. Those are correctable situations, but they are so very close on a lot of things. I don't know that they're going to get a whole lot better at the point of attack on some of these run issues, but there are other things out there that they're really close to.
Yeah, and Cap, to Tom's point, I think we talked about this already, but I've watched a ton of Bears film, as you know, through my analyst work. And there's been years where you come on here and you say, they should do this, that, and you leave and you say that. You walk out your door and say they got no chance. They got nobody on their field who can make a play. We talked about DeAndre Swift. He's not doing great things right now. But sometimes when he gets his ball in his hands, man, he gets moving. Rome Odunze. Tom talked about DJ Moore. We talked about Cole Kmet. Keenan Allen comes back. You turn this film on and you say, man, like Tom is saying, if they go to why not put DJ in motion? Put him at the Z, put him in the slot. Use him a little differently. Put Rome Odunze out, put Tyler Scott. And then sometimes Caleb makes throws like they were in coverage when he hit Rome Odunze. They had the perfect defense call. Rome just ran by him and Caleb dropped him in the bucket. Yeah. You don't see that in Chicago a lot. So there are things on the film, and you don't want to go too far because the offense has been terrible. But when you really watch the film, you're like, they have weapons out here. If they'll just get the details down and do a little better and not call option on 4th and 1.
All right. Time for our look ahead. This is the LA Rams coming to town. They're 1-2, but they feel good because they're 1. They came back and beat a good San Francisco 49ers team. So no Puka Nacua, no Cooper Kupp. They've got
job with that name
already on the offensive line. They had to bring in off the street, but they got that dude right there in Matthew Stafford. So what do you guys think of this matchup in Chicago?
It's going to be interesting, right? Because you look at the last team they played, and this team's, you say the same thing, right? Their run defense is, I think, worse than the NFL. I mean, they're terrible. They've lost so many starters on offside, but they plan to play with this interior of their offensive line. They lost everybody but Dotson. They lost a tackle. And then, like we talked about, it's so hard to make a team go 0-3 because they're fighting for their lives, man. That's right with the Colts last week. And the Rams find a way. When you watch that game, you don't even know how they found a way to win, right? Sean McVay. And I remember I went to University of Washington my first month there. I got in trouble in a frat called Theta Chi. I turned on Sean McVay's look at his coaching staff. He's got a frat house. in his coaching staff in the Rams building, and they're winning games, Cap. It's crazy. The man can coach football. Yeah. He's got like 25-year-olds running defensive line. Guy that knows nothing about football. They all got gel in their hair. I don't even know what they're doing. They probably have glow sticks in the middle of the Rams building, and they win football games. It's so crazy to me. But Stafford, McVay, they're always a challenge, man. The offense at home finally again. We talked about the noise and silent count and details and communication at home. Little easier. The Rams D-line is nothing really scares you much there. They have another guy from Theta Chi, 33-year-old guy coaching defense there. I don't know what they're doing there, but they find ways to win games. It's crazy to watch, man.
It is. They're exceptionally well coached. They're undermanned right now, but their quarterback can make every throw on the planet and can do stuff that a lot of guys can't do. But I'm with Olin. Like last week, I was totally in the camp of this is an opportunity for this offense to get right against a lesser opponent defensively. This defense is not a great defense right now. Offensively, they are all banged up. This is a game you have to win. I know it's week 4, but you have to, especially after disappointing yourself in Indy, you got to beat up this Rams team that's coming across country, that's playing at noon. It's 10 o'clock their time. They got nobody healthy. Like, there's no excuse not to get the best of this team.
The Theta Chi Rams coming to Chicago.
I would hate to be, and they're decimated, right? When you look at their team, I would hate to have a must win against Sean McVay and Stafford, man. Like that is what they're looking at. Well, and at least the offense has to look better against this defense. They have to get something going.
I said that last week.
Yeah, I know. Without DeForest Buckner, and I think they're 200 plus yards on the ground. They're giving up. I got to look at all their stats, but when you guys have time today, please Google the Rams coaching staff and just flip through it. You're gonna blow your mind.
I'm going to.
Go back in time and look at the old Washington Redskins.
Oh yeah.
The Shanahan there and McVay there, and I believe
LaFleur
was there too.
Yeah.
All right, give me your Olin. Before Tommy and I make our picks, give me your 2 keys to a victory.
Well, they got to run the ball on the worst run defense in the league. I know we said that last week, but they got it, right. They got to run the ball on them, and then you can't give up. We watched. You can't give up the big plays to Stafford, right? You cannot. Not with his receivers out, as Tom talked about. I worry about that a little bit after I saw the coverages last week.
Cap, you got to take care of the football as well. Like they lost the turnover battle last week against a team, and their quarterback's giving away the football like Christmas presents. So, like, you cannot lose the turnover battle. But I think this is a game they should win. And more importantly, I think it's a game where they have the opportunity to improve on offense. And I said this last week to you guys. This offense needs some confirmation that they're okay. Like they're teetering right now. And we said they're close. They're very close. But they're teetering with regard to their confidence. Everyone in that offensive meeting room needs a little confirmation, and hopefully that will come against the decimated Rams defense. So, like, I think this is like a 24-17 win for the Bears at home.
Yeah, it's actually my top play on the board this weekend in the NFL. I do think the Bears will cover the 2.5-point spread and win their second football game. But I can tell you this. If I was Matt Eberflus, whoever the hell's in my headset up there that had me challenge 2 plays that we lost a week ago and then screwed me up so I had to call a timeout, that asshole be in my office Monday morning at 7 a.m. and we'd be having I'd have some speaks, as Steve McMichael would say.
Cutting his hair. You'd be helping him cut Eberflus's hair in the office, right?
Yeah, get the beard.
He looked so good in Hard Knocks, didn't he?
Man. It was something. It was something, man.
Unbelievable. All right, I'm going to say the Bears.
Cap, Tom said that
17.
Cap, Tom said that they need confirmation. I was thinking in 2004 when I was snapping through Chad Hutchinson, Craig Krenzel, Jonathan Quinn, and Rex Grossman. I got no confirmation for 16 straight games.
Wow. There had to be moments you went, who's back there?
Yeah.
The difference now is they spent the first pick on the draft on this kid, who I think is going to be a multiplier and a difference maker. But they need him, and they need everyone in that offensive huddle to start thinking that, hey, all this work we've put in and all this optimism that we've had isn't just smoke and mirrors, that, we are kind of who we think we are.
Olin, who do the Illini have next?
They have a tough game this week. They're in Penn State. They're 18-point underdogs. So they're going to go out there and they're going to find out, they beat Nebraska in Nebraska. You guys saw that, obviously. But they're going to go out there and they're going to find out what kind of team they are. They're excited. I think Penn State's got a whiteout down there, and they're the NBC game at 6:30 on Saturday. So kind of game that's what you wait for. That's why you lift all those weights. That's why you do all that practicing, so you're going to play a game like that. Yeah,
when you walk in undefeated, ranked, you feel good. I mean, you're right. All those hours pouring over the weights and the studies and the this and the that, because the game matters.
Yeah, well, that's why you do it. You do it for games like that. So, they're excited, man. They're Coach Bielema's got them moving in the right direction, and their young quarterback, who was young last year, he's playing pretty good football. So they got a good defense. Illinois is a pretty good team, but they're going to find out what kind of team they are this week.
By the way, Tommy, Illinois undefeated against the spread, 3-0.
I was going to say, I think you need to get Coach Bielema in your workout class, get him going. Just saying.
Some guys, people always tell me, man, you lost weight. So I said, when you're in shape, when you find a guy in shape, you find a guy with a lot of free time, and I have a lot of free time. So my mornings usually all wrapped around working out.
Love it, absolutely love it. Gentlemen, that is a wrap for another edition. Always a lot of fun. Feldco Football Recap Live. Don't forget, we've got 5 remote shows this year at Hooters locations around the Chicago area. So it will be a lot of fun. And I think I'm coming out Friday night to see Olin coach the offensive line with his Carmel Corsairs. So
nice.
Looking forward to it.
Who do you know at the game, Cap?
You.
Come on the field. I need help.
That's what I did. I came for the playoffs last year, and I just stood by the OG and watched him call the plays. Yeah, super cool. Hey, man, you guys have a great night. Love doing this with you.
Watch out for those Theta Chi. Watch out for Theta Chi this week.
I'm going to go check them out right now. All right.
Hey, Dad, we're running low.
We'll be all right.
What is going on here?
Insulation? I'm chilly.
I can't help you with a decoration, but I can help you replace these windows fast.
Right now, buy one window and you'll get one free. Plus, no interest until 2025. And we'll get it done Feldco fast.
Buy one window, get one free, and soon. Hurry. Call now.
Call 866 for Feldco.
Feldco Football Recap Live is brought to you by Feldco. For quality windows, siding, and doors, call 866-4FELDCO, Chicago's home renewal experts. Your Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana Chevy dealers, the official truck partner of the Chicago Bears. Hooters. At Hooters, originality isn't just one thing, it's everything. World-famous wings and more, served up by the iconic Hooters girl. Hooters, always original. Dr. Pepper, an American original, just like our Chicago Bears. Grab an ice-cold, refreshing Dr. Pepper today at a McDonald's near you. Special Olympics Illinois. Special Olympics Illinois, so I did. Learn more at SOILL.org. Apt. For the best appliances for football season, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936. Find them at apt.com. 4 Seasons, heating, plumbing, air conditioning, and electric. For all the right reasons, 4 Seasons.
Some days, you've got big things to care about. Like that. And that. Luckily, the Whirlpool Smart Range automatically updates itself with features like Air Fry. So you can worry less about keeping up with the latest tech and care more about keeping up with the latest trends. Say cheese. Everyday care, Whirlpool.
To see the full line of Whirlpool appliances, shop at Apt. Pleasing people since 1936.